Wow, here we are again, folks. In Revelations chapter 2, 8 through 11 is the church at Samaria. We're going to look at that, called the Church of Samaria. And unto the angel of the church in Samaria write. By the way, this is a church that has martyrs in it. And the time span when it started was roughly AD 100 to 300. During that period of time I don't remember if that was the Crusader time or not, but there were those who killed Christians. And these things say the first and the last. Christ is the beginning of everything. And He is the creator of everything. And He is the end of all things, referring to His total completeness and His completeness. When He ends it all, it's all going to be ended. Which was dead and are alive. This refers to the cross and the resurrection. Well, isn't that a funny thing? He lived, He died, and resurrected, and lives again, and will live again until the end of the age. All the usefulness of the earth is gone behind us. I know your works, the tribulation and the poverty, and that you are rich. And I know that the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, of the synagogue of Satan, but they are of the synagogue of Satan. We have people in our church, just like everybody has people in their church, that say they are gods. I have watched one particular man come and go who was seeking out a woman that he could have his way with, and attempted several. Now he's sitting in the church with a woman about half his age with a baby. And I guess, perhaps, I hope they are. I hope they're married. But I know he was married before. So the whole situation takes him out of the ability of being a preacher. And I know he's been known to be able to preach. This is a tough situation. You can't burn the candle both ends and the middle. It will collapse. It will melt down. It will not work. You can follow God in some capacities, but you can't follow Him as a preacher. If you've been married twice, the Bible is very clear about that. And especially if you've been married more than once, more than twice. And especially if the only reason you came to church in the first place was to see if you could have your way with as many of the women in the church as you could have your way with. And we have men that do that. Can you think of a more cleaner place, or a more place that you would probably find less venereal diseases or whatever in the women in a church than you would in women in a bar room? Yes. So the church is a safe place to come hunt and peck. And many do. I see men all the time come and go. They come in. Usually when they go, they take a woman with them. Say, where is that lady used to sit right there? What happened to her? Oh, that guy came along. She got going with him, and they're going to a different church now. Because they're living in sin. When you live in sin, your guide is not Jesus Christ. What Jesus is saying to you, straighten up this sin deal. And if you're living in sin, you can't do it. Let's go to the church of Smyrna. And unto the angel of the church in Smyrna write. That's to the pastor. Over the time span, this church was a church of martyrs. These things say to the first and the last. which was dead and is alive. This refers to the cross and the resurrection. And that is the first fruits of God. And you must have Jesus in your church. I know your works and your tribulation and your poverty, but you are rich. So Smyrna was poverty-stricken outwardly, but the Lord proclaimed them spiritually rich. The church at Laodicea claimed to be rich, but the Lord said they were poor. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not. From this verse we learn something, that God doesn't consider Jews who rejected Christ as truly Jewish, but are the synagogue of Satan. The worship of Christ rejected Jews is concluded by the Lord to be satanic. Fear none of those things which you shall suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that you may be tried, and you shall have tribulation 10 days. This I have never understood. For none of these things which you shall suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you in prison, that you may be tried, and shall have tribulation 10 days. Brother Jimmy said he thinks this is a represent of 10 major persecutions that Rome hurled at the church in the day of the opening. That was the first 200 years. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give you a crown of life. Many paid that price. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. The Spirit is saying that at any time there may be suffering. He who overcomes shall not be hurt of the second death. This refers to the lake of fire. Revelation 21:8. Wow. I know I'm not going to and would hate to go into the lake of fire. I guarantee it. 21:85. Revelations 2 and 12 is where we're going to go next. That's the end of that. And that one is about 8 minutes long, and it covered from 8, 9, 10, 11, 3 verses. And what was said in those 3 verses is consider who is in your church, what is in your church, who you are in your church. Are you a Christian? Are those around you Christian? Is your music Christian? Are you worshiping God, or are you just playing church? That's the question. Can you answer it?